you. Put our palm together.
Namo Fundamental Teacher Sakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Sakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Sakyamuni Buddha. The unsurpassed, deep, profound, subtle, wonderful Dhamma in 100,000 million eons is difficult to encounter. Now that I've come to receive and hold it with my sight and hearing, I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual meaning.
Yeah, the touch come one, that means the Buddha. Thank you. Okay, all right. We will go through this. Let's see. Today. Okay, Nicholas, you go ahead and read the question and also from beginning.
When a person is reading a book, how does his or her mind process in the Buddhist view? When a person is reading a book, his/her eyes just take in the information without processing the information. Direct knowledge. This is a function of contact between the eyes and the reading information object that creates eye consciousness, which sends those information objects to the mind consciousness, the brain. The mind consciousness loads the information objects into short-term memory, and the information becomes available for the following functions: processing, visualization, thinking, uh, uh, contemplation, uh, analysis, planning, and etc. If the person only reads a book without triggering any of the above functions from the mind consciousness, then the mana 7 consciousness takes the data from the short term memory and pushes it back into the alaya consciousness for storage purposes. This will be the knowledge. However, or do you want me to stop there?
Also, go ahead, keep going.
Okay. However, if any above functions arises from the mind consciousness, it will trigger the mana consciousness to send an inquiry to Alaya consciousness for an inquiry and the inquiry result. Once the Alaya consciousness performs the inquiry and has a result, it then gives its result to mana consciousness, and the mana consciousness passes it to the mind consciousness. The mind consciousness then loads the search result into the short-term memory. Once the result is in the memory and the information becomes available for the following functions: processing, visualization, thinking, con- contemplation, analysis, planning, and etc. The mind consciousness also informs the eye consciousness to be able to distinguish.
That means the eye concept we are able to distinguish. So summarize what you just read. Tell me what how the eight consonants together. It means the mind. Okay, this is how our mind works. Tell me how the mind works.
Well, it talks about how a person, uh, when they're reading a book, can process the information. So first, the eyes contact the information and like takes that information into the mind consciousness. It loads it into the short term memory, which then is available for the Alaya consciousness and the mana consciousness to load, and then it sends it over there so it could help visualize, process, and analysis for the information that it received, and then uh, I guess, and then it sends it back. I think so the person could uh know what they're thinking about. I don't know.
All right, let me use in this model right here. I will walk you through exactly what you just read, and this will help you to understand. If one you understand, this is how the mind works in Buddhism. It go beyond the medical view. Okay, so the medical view only go to the sick consonant. That means the mind consonant, the brain. And the brain, they have a function they call, they convert the whatever the object from the faculty here into the sight or into the hearing, into the smell or whatever. So that's how the medical view work. The mind of the medical view work. Maybe a little bit more than that. We don't know much, but this is how the Buddhists work. When the eye sees something, right? For this, in this case, when the person reading the book, right? They just go ahead and they scan through the book. They read. They keep reading. That means when they read, they may not need to process the data. Well, they just take in the information. When the eye contacts the form, right? Basically, that means the reading object data. This is what we call the non-judgment. That means there is no activity from the mind yet. This is called the direct knowledge. Direct knowledge. That means I only see the information, but they have no idea the detail of the information. They have no idea about the meaning of the information. So basically, they just see the data. And this is what we call, in Buddhism, we call the direct contact or direct information. And one that contact, it creates the eye consonant. And the eye consonant, just like a camera, it will take the picture of the image and put those things into the mind consonant. And the mind consonant, basically, there is the short-term memory. And the data the data object will be loaded in here, and whatever you read, the information will become available once it's inside the memory. Let me ask you the question here. When we read the information, that means the contact, do you think that the data become available for us to think, for us to visualize, for us to process? What do you think, Thomas?
Yeah, I think when we're reading something, we can put in our
No,
mind.
I'm talking about the function of the contact.
Oh, can you repeat it again, the whole question?
Okay, so basically when we reading the book, right, or whatever, that means the eye contact the reading information. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The form in this case, it means that the reading, whatever we read, right? The book could be a book, could be an article, could be whatever, right? So the eye contact the information. Do you think that this is the contact function here? Do you think the contact function be able to distinguish, to be able to visualize the data? What do you think?
Well, now with the eye, right? The eye you look at it and then it goes straight to your mind, so you can think about what you just read.
Do you know that if you are using the computer, right? When you the computer, they have the permanent hard drive, and they also have the RAM memory, right? The RAM memory just like the short-term memory in the mind consciousness. But when the application, let's say that you go to your iPhone app, right? You enter the information, and when you click on submit, right? When you click on submit, and those data will, let's say that you searching for something, and you know what? When you click on the search button, the app will go to the database and the reading. That's what we call the contact. During that time, do you think the information is whatever the information they send out? Do you think the application know this information represent? Do you think they know during the reading operation?
No.
No, because the application have no idea whatever information they push down for the reading. Because the only time the application know about the information, detail, visual, analyze or processing is inside the RAM, the memory, right? In the RAM. That's why the RAM memory is important. Without the RAM memory, nothing can work, right? No application. You cannot even boot up the computer, and you not even boot up your iPhone, right?
Yeah.
So the most important is in the in the device. The device they have to have the they have to have the RAM memory. Just like us, we need to have the short-term memory. If no short-term memory, nothing will be loaded, then nothing will be processed. And nothing will become visible, and nothing will become distinguished. Does it make sense?
Yes, now it does.
This is important. So that's why the contact function is just the direct information, but have no idea what those information is. And that's why the I consonant in this case puts into the memory, right? Of the mind. This is the brain. This is the brain. They have the short-term memory. And once the data in here is available for the following function like planning, thinking, visualize, contemplation, whatever. Those information, but if our mind is only focused on the reading and careless about the function, the following function, and that means those data will not. That means the mind will not trigger any those functions. And you know what? The mana consciousness will grab those data here and it will put into the alaya consciousness, and they go straight into the alaya consciousness for the storage. If you look at the mana consciousness, it's just like the upload and download, upload and download. Upload, that means you get the data from the short-term memory from the mind consciousness, you put into the alaya. It means upload. And when you have if the mind consonant want any kind of inquiry, that means the mana consonant will also wrap that inquiry and asking the alaya consonant by pushing those, right? And it will get the data back. When they get the result back, that means download. It download the data from the alaya and put into the mind consonant short-term memory, right? So that's why the if the person when they reading the book, right, they also have some kind of question in their mind, and that trigger the inquiry, and the mana consonant will wrap all the data here, include the inquiry, and will put into the alaya consonant. And the alaya consonant, let's say that in the past, right, if we have a chance to read about the information about the inquiry, whatever the question that we are trying to ask. For example, when we read about the Buddha, the life of the Buddha, right? And we have a question there. Oh, when will the Buddha appear in the world, right? Those kind of questions, you know what? When we trigger it, if we learn those things in the past, those information will be, the knowledge will be in here. And you know what? The inquiry come down here. Alaya consciousness will search for the inquiry to get the result for the inquiry. And when they get the result, they will pass back to the mana consciousness, and the mana consciousness will give that to the mind consciousness and load into the mind consciousness will load into the short-term memory, and this is where the detail of the result also available for thinking, for contemplation, for visualize, for analyze, for whatever. The function here become available for the information, and also the mind consciousness will trigger the eye consciousness to be able to distinguish. The same idea for the ear consonant, for the nose consonant, and the tongue consonant, and the body consonant. Anyone, do you have any question? Do you understand so far, anyone? Any? It is very tough to understand. Joe, what do you think? It is easy for you to understand?
Yeah, Tay, it's easy to understand.
Okay, easy to understand. Tammy, Young, what do you think? Do you have any question related to this?
No, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, this is become very powerful. And the reason one we learn about this, we understand how mind works, and we be able to use our mind properly. And that means we can be able to avoid a lot of trouble in the future. If we don't know how to use it wisely, we will cause ourselves a lot of damage in the future. And that's what we call, in Buddhism, we call ignorance. If we are ignorant, we create bad karma because we do not understand how our mind works. But when we understand how mind works, a lot of things will help us to understand a lot of things related to this thing. But do you understand so far?
Yes.
Yes. Paul, what do you think, Paul? It is easy to understand.
Yes, sir.
Khoa and Tammy Jung and Christina Law.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Tammy Jung, what do you think?
Yeah.
Do you have any? Okay. I think it's everybody clear, right? Okay, that's good. We will talk about later on specific into the mana concept. It's more important too. But now for now, we just learn about this. And okay, let's do about let's see. Let's see. Tammy Chung, what do you want to read this? The next one.
Which word is this? Okay. 8 consciousness of memorization. When a student is trying to memorize vocabulary words for his or her spelling test, how does his or her mind process in the Buddhist view? When a student looks at words or stares at words, trying to memorize the words, his eyes only see those words without knowing the meaning of words, direct knowledge, or the usage of the words, or distinguishing about words. This is a function of contact between the eyes and vocabulary words object. It creates the eye consciousness, which sends those word objects to the mind consciousness, the brain. At the same time, his or her ears listens to his or her own rehearsal sound. This is a function of contact between the ears and the sound object that creates the ear consciousness, which sends those sound objects to the mind consciousness, the brain, through the nerves. The mind consciousness loads the words or sounds objects into the short-term memory, and information becomes available for the following functions: processing, visualization, thinking, contemplation, analyzing, planning, etc. If the person only tries to memorize without triggering any of the above, I can't look at the bottom.
Okay. Person only try to memorize without triggering any of above function. Keep going.
Then the mana 7 consciousness takes the data from the short-term memory and pushes it into the Ela consciousness for shortage purposes. This will be the knowledge. However, if any above functions arise from the mind consciousness, it will trigger the mana consciousness to send an inquiry to Ela consciousness, which is an inquiry and the inquiry's result. Once the Ela consciousness performs the inquiry and has a result, and then gives it results to the mana consciousness, and the mana consciousness passes it to the mind consciousness. The mind consciousness then loads the search result into the short-term memory. Once the result is in the memory and the information becomes available for the following functions: processing, visualization, thinking, contemplation, analyzing, planning, etc., the mind consciousness also informs the eye consciousness to be able to distinguish. Each time when the mana consciousness pushes the same information into the Ela consciousness, just like it sketches or draws on the words to make them more visible in the Ela consciousness.
Do you understand so far?
A lot.
A lot of repeat, but it's not a lot. Okay. I can summarize for you. In here also, the mind consonant also inform the ear consonant to be able to distinguish as well, because that means the eye and the ear, right? When we like. Okay. So let's say the person trying to memorize the word, right, the vocabulary or whatever, or we're trying to memorize something, right? That means the eye look at the word or whatever the thing that they try to memorize. And also, you know what, we can read out loud, right? The ear also listen to the sound of the word or whatever the thing that we read. And this is the true contact, right? This is the true contact. That means the eye contact the word and the ear contact the sound. One that happened, and that means we have the eye consonant and the ear consonant. The eye consonant will put the word object into the my consonant, and that means will be put into the my consonant will load into the memory. The same thing, the ear consonant will put the sound object right into the my consonant, to the nerve. Remember, everything connects to the mind is through the nerve. Okay? And that's the sound and the word become available inside the memory. One is available inside the memory. That means it become available for the function, the following function. That means you can think, you can analyze, you can contemplation, you can memorize or whatever, right? Planning, those things is available. Those functions will become available. If we not if the mind consciousness not interested in those functions, then no figure for the function, and the mana consciousness will take the data, both word and the sound will put inside the alaya consciousness, become the knowledge for the storage purpose. And you know what? One that happened, well, that means you build the knowledge become very powerful. Let's say that when the person keep memorize and read the word over and over again, memorize the same word over and over again. You know what? It's like when this guy Mana consonant put the same information into Alaya consonant. That's like when we retry the same word over and over again. That means you make the word become more visible, become easy to memorize, right? So and that will become very strong in here. So let's say that the mind try to figure the memory, right? What happened when they figure the memory function? Okay, they try to memorize certain word, right? So that means when the mind thinking about, okay, when the mind thinking about whatever the word that we have learned, right? It will create the inquiry, and that inquiry will be handled by the Atmana consciousness and put that inside the Alaya consciousness for the theory. Depend on how much of the same word that we put in here, and those words will become very strong, easy for memory, or not easy for memory. Depend on if we keep repeat that over and over again, the word will be the information will become very clear and uh, very rich, right? And the result come back, right, to the mana, and the mana give to the mind consonant, and the mind consonant load into the memory. And those information, the word that we try to memorize will be visible here, and the mind be able to remember. Be able to remember the word that they try to memorize. So that's how our mind works for the memory, for the memorization. I hope the way, and you know what, this one right here, be able to to memorize that the my consonant also trigger the I consonant to be able to distinguish about the word, right? The word, that means the word become very clear to the eye as well as the sound. That means the ear consonant, the sound becomes very clear to the ear. Um, um, uh, tell me, Young, what do you think? Is it understandable?
Yes, that's understandable. But I've heard this a lot of times, so it's understandable for me. It's been very confusing at first, though.
Okay, that's good. I know it's very tough for the first time, but once you learn the same thing over a few times, you become master of it. Okay, Khoa, what do you think? Is it easy to understand?
Uh, well, yes, but I've also heard this many times. So
Okay,
yeah,
that's a good news, right?
yeah.
Okay, Thomas, what do you think? Thomas and Vincent?
Yeah, it's really understandable. And Vincent's not here, Thai.
Okay, that's good. But don't you think it's very powerful?
Yes, Thai, yes.
Okay, all right. Um, before I think it's before I go into the subject of forgiveness, I'm going to teach you the topic about forgiveness. That is very powerful. Um, but before I go into that, I want to make sure that you understand the mana concept. What the difference between the mind concept and the mana concept? There is a difference. Sometimes you cannot be able to distinguish, but let me tell you, the mana consciousness, the mind consciousness. Also, when we have the ego, right? When we have the ego, that means we so proud of ourselves. We think that we are the best, right? So for the ego, the rough ego, not the subtle, is related to the mind consciousness. For example, we always think that we are the best, right? We are the number one. No one can compare to us. That is this kind of ego belongs to the mind consciousness. What about the ego or the self in the mana consciousness? Yeah, they do also have the ego in the mana consciousness. We call it subtle, very subtle. That it's very tough for us to detect, to see it. How subtle? For example, when we walk on the street, right? If something from above, that means some object from the above drop on our head, right? Let's say that we walk on the street and on the third floor building, there's something drop from that third floor building, and it's in the direction of our head. And you know what? Automatically, we try to avoid the object by moving, to make a move to avoid the object hitting us. You know who make the move and to avoid the object hitting us? Between the mind consonant and the mana consonant, which one will do that move? Let's see. Thomas, which one will do it? Between the two.
Can you repeat the question? I just wanted to make sure I answered
Oh,
this one right.
can you hear me well?
No, I can. I just wanted to make sure I got it. I got the right.
Okay. Okay. I said that both my consonant and the mana consonant, they both have the ego. You know the ego, right?
Yeah.
The ego, that means we proud of ourselves, right? We think we always the best, right? That is related to the mind consonant, not to the mana consonant. But what about the ego related to the mana consonant? That means when, let's say that, well, one day we walk on the street, right? There is some object from the third floor building No, the third floor building, it drop and it go in direction of our head. And you know what? We automatically make a move. Which one trigger that? The sixth consonant or the seventh consonant?
Is it the sixth consciousness?
Nicholas, what do you think?
Hello?
You understand the question?
I think it brings it to the eighth consciousness to get the long-term memory.
No. We don't need to worry about the eighth consonant. I'm talking about between the two right here.
The sixth consciousness.
Okay. What about Khoa? What do you think?
I'm sorry, Ty. Think about what?
Okay. You know that these children here, they
Yeah.
also have the ego, right? The ego. That means we always proud of ourselves. We think that we are the best. When we have that type of the mentality, right? This is related to the mind consciousness. What about that? If something that when we walk on the street, right? On the street, and suddenly there is something from the third floor building, an object drop in onto our head, and we automatically make a move, and we try to avoid that, right? We make a move to avoid that object hitting our head. So which one do you think it make the move between the two? Which one?
Okay, well, obviously it contacts your eyes, and then your mind makes the move to move over, but it doesn't come to the seventh because you're not processing. You didn't process what. It's just like your mind controlling you and telling you that you should move.
Oh, okay. What about you, Tammy? Young. We need to understand this. Otherwise, this is tricky, but it's understandable. Tammy Young, what do you think?
So I think it's the mind consciousness, the sixth one, because you're just reacting. You're not thinking about it. You're not processing it. You're just reacting.
Well, remember the mind consonant when they do something, they need to have the memory. That means they need to think, right? The mind requires thinking, right? That's why they have the short-term memory. The purpose of short-term memory is for the mind to think. That means anytime when you see the mind activity, right, the mind constant activity, that means it requires time to think in order to process. That means because they read the memory and they try to process from the data from the memory. That is the mind constant. But the mana constant, there is no memory, there is no time. That's why the move is very quick, because it's just like our own nature, right? We just do it automatically based on our nature. We try to avoid because we want to protect ourselves, right? That's what the cell. That's what we call the cell, or that's what we call the ego. Because this one right here requires no thinking, because no memory. And you know what? They don't even have time for, well, because at this time we just feel something drop on our head. We don't even see what it is. We don't have time to see it, right? We don't have time to think. But this is where the mana consonant kick in, because they have this one. They're not required to think. Does that make sense to you, Tammy?
Yes. So it seems like the greater the consciousness, the less thinking involved. Does
Yeah.
is that right? The further away. So if you're just instinct, then it would be the seventh, where the sixth actually takes processing. Okay.
Right. That's correct. This is what we call subtle, very subtle, that you cannot even see it, right? The self or the ego in this one is very subtle, but this one is more visible because the people can see our behavior, that we are very arrogant. No, we are a very arrogant or ego, right? They can see it by our behavior, by our attitude. But this one here, no, not easy for other people to see it, but we ourselves, we don't even see it. Okay, so that's why the mana consonant, it's compared to the mind consonant. The mind consonant is more intelligent. The mana consonant is not intelligent. We call it very ignorant because they do only based on the instant, just like you said, based on the instant. That means the instant come from where? Come from here. Come from the alaya consciousness. Because the mind consciousness not directly connect to the alaya consciousness. Only this guy connect directly to alaya consciousness. Does it make sense to you, Tammy? Yeah.
Yes, it makes sense.
This is important.
Mhm.
When we still awake, right? That means we not sleeping. So we are just like right now. Whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever we do, the mind constantly the main one. It's just like the CPU, the computer CPU. It processes every movement of the body, everything that we think, we feel, we sense, we move, or whatever. The activity from the five consciousness here controlled by this guy. This is the most important guy when we are still awake. Okay, awake here, it doesn't mean that we are awakened one. No, we are not awakened one. We just awake. That means we are not sleeping. Okay. Megwin, you understand that, Megwin?
Yes.
Okay. What happened when we go to sleep and we have a deep sleep, right? Or when someone collapsed, right, and they went into coma state. That means unconsciousness. What happened to them? To the mind consciousness. And which one is the main active between the mind consciousness and the mana consciousness? Which one will be the main activity here for the one who went into the deep sleep, or who in the coma state, or even the one who have a deep meditation, or the one who when you go to the doctor, right? When let's say that you have a dentist, you need the dentist who want to the surgery on the gum, right? And they put some kind of anesthesia, I think I pronounced correctly, I guess. And that means they put us into sleep, right? And what happened during that time? What happened between the two? What happened? Do you know what happened? Anyone can help you understand it? Okay. I think this is a little bit new to you. Okay, anyway, let me explain to you. When we still awake, this one is the main thing. And this one is just the shadow of this guy. This is the main one. But when we in the deep sleep, or when we become coma, when we went into coma, that means unconsciousness state, or even the one who go into the deep meditation. This one right here, they will enter into the mana. It's hiding. It, you know what? The mana consciousness also have another name for a place for the mind consciousness to hide, right? That means the mind consciousness, it will hide inside the mana consciousness, and the mind consciousness have no activity during the time of deep sleep or the coma or whatever. That the mana consciousness is the one that who have all the activity during that time. And how this work? How this work? How this work? Tell me, Young, do you know how this works? Any idea? Because the mind consciousness at this time we call the this is the absent mind, right? That means the mind no longer have any kind of activity. That means all the five sense consciousness, it will not working at this time, right? Because there is no mind consciousness, there is no working for the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, and the body. The only thing left is the mana consciousness and the adaya consciousness. The mana consciousness will work in very hard with the adaya consciousness, and that's how all the activity during that time will be the mana consciousness. Let's say that we have the dream, right? This is where this thing happens. When we whatever we see during those states, this is called the information come from here into the mana consciousness. And of course, this one does not have the memory, therefore, it's not become available. If this guy have memory, it would become just like the mind consciousness already. That means we awaken one. Right? That means we're not in the sleep state. But this is not the case. That means this one does not have the memory. And that's why only direct processing data by data from the area consciousness. And that's why when we wake up from the deep sleep, right, we don't remember anything, or we remember some, but not clearly. Whatever inside the dream, right, or whatever happened inside the dream, we do not remember. Why was that? Because there is no short-term memory to holding those data. Does that make sense to you, Tammy? Young?
Yes, it makes sense.
This is important. That's why when you see the person in the coma state, or even the person in the vegetative state, you know what is vegetative state? That the state that means the person in the coma state for a long time, but they still not dead yet, okay, not die yet. And you know what? The people, the hospital or the nursing home or whatever, they inject the tooth. They call the food tooth, the medication tooth inside the body of that patient. It's very painful, very simple. And you know what? Yeah, this person still experience the pain. Yeah, they do. How do we know that? You can look at even though they in the coma state, right? You can look at the facial expression. You can tell. But they cannot be able to open their eye. They cannot be able to say it. But it doesn't mean that they know nothing. They do know. But they cannot communicate to us. They cannot communicate to us because there is no short-term memory. Therefore, the data will not be available to the external, the five sense here. Therefore, we do not know, right? And it's very tough. It's very tough. And why those things keep going back and forth between the 7 and 8? This is what we call the mana consciousness. They have 4 layers. Okay, this is important. 4 layers of the cell. The first one is cell delusion, cell view, cell pride, cell love. That define the self. The self, that means we attach to ourselves as real, but it's not real. This is just delusion. And where those things come from? Come from this guy. This is the knowledge, this is the power. We attach to this thing, therefore, the person who in the coma state for a long time, but they are not dead, they are not died yet, due to attachment. As long as they attachment, there is life. Okay, that really suffer, very suffer. What is the self delusion here? In Buddhism, we define the self delusion as the Buddha said that we have, you know what? I have to. Next time I will show you the model. Okay, the body and the mind. There are 5 aggregates. You know what? Let me type in here. I don't have my thing ready, but I cannot explain to you because and I understand this inside to outside, so I can explain to you easily. Okay, when in Buddhism, when we're talking about the body and the mind, what does that mean? Okay. In Buddhism, we call 5 aggregates, right? Or another term they call skandha, or aggregate, the same thing, the same meaning, but different word, but they are the same thing. Okay. Okay. Let me easily tell you. All right. The first one is called the form, right? That means the physical body. The second one is we call the feeling, actually the sensation or the feeling. Okay. The feeling, you have 3 types of feeling: the joy, the suffering. Neither joy nor suffering. That are the 3 types of feeling. Doesn't matter what kind of feeling you attach to, the end result of that is suffering. Yes, you attach to the joy, right? Feeling, the feeling of joy. But what happened when the joy feeling gone, right? We suffer. You see, any kind of attachment to the 5 aggregate, we suffer. The same thing with the form, right? The physical body, it's impermanent because they go to birth, old age, sickness, and death. No one can escape this, even the Buddha, right? So any kind of attachment to the form, to the let's say that we very proud of our own beauty, right? And we attach to our own beauty. But what happened when they change? That means when we get old, right? It changes, and we become very ugly, and we suffer. You see that? That's why any kind of attachment will suffer. The same thing here, perception. Perception, that means it's thinking, right? This is my perception. This is me. But as long as you have that mentality, you suffer, right? Because the perception come and go. They not stay with you. Can we say that when you say that this is my thinking, or this is me, but can we commend the thinking that can the thinking to be this way, not the other way? No, you cannot do that. You cannot commend your thinking in the way you want. No, because thinking come and go. It's not us. The same thing with the feeling. We cannot commend the feeling have to be like this, not like that. No, we cannot do that. Because feeling come and go too, right? They are impermanent. Thinking also impermanent. The same thing with the mental formation. What they call formation. I will give you an example later on for the formation. They more like this is exactly the mana consciousness that we're learning right now. Because the information keep changing between the 6 consciousness and the 8 consciousness. That's why if we attach to that, we suffer. The consciousness, when we're talking about consciousness, Could be all 8 consonants or could be the Alaya consonant. This is the one. And you know what? The form represents for the physical body, from the feeling, perception, the mental activity or formation, and the consonant is construct at the mental, right? So the body and the mental. So this is what we in Buddhism we define the body and the mind, or the body, the mental. So the 5 aggregate or 5 skandha. Okay, let me go back to here. Okay. So those things, the 5 aggregate is impermanent, it's not real, but we don't see that thing. We thought that is real, and this is this body is me. This is my body. This is my feeling, and this feeling is me. Or this is my thinking, and the thinking is me. If we have those kind of mentality, right? Or those kind of perception, those kind of view, this is what we call self-delusion. Does it make sense to you? Therefore, self-delusion, that means it's not true, it's not real, but we see as real. That's why this is self-delusion. We always attach to it as real, but it's not real. Therefore, we suffer. Okay, I will stop right here. I know some of this is very tough to understand. Nicolette, do you understand so far what we discussed so far?
I think so.
Is that easy to understand or still difficult?
Oh, I forgot a little bit of it, but most of it's pretty easy.
Okay, good. What about you, Zoe? Do you think is that easy to understand so far?
Yeah, Tay, it's easy to understand.
Oh, that's good, because this is a very abstract concept. No, but this is what we call the principle. This is called, if we understand if we see the principle as the truth, that means when we understand the principle in the way that it should work, and that's what we call wisdom. If we don't see that thing in that way, we call ignorance, right? So, anyone have any problem so far? Paul, what do you think? Is that easy for you to understand? Tammy Chung, what do you think?
A little bit.
A little bit tough, or a little bit easy? Which one?
I'm kind of understand, but at some point I don't.
Okay, don't worry. I will repeat this over and over again. You will be able to understand it. I know this is the first time for you. It will be very tough. But Wing, do you think that easy to understand so far?
Kind of.
Okay. Hand on it, and I will help you to. Thomas and Vincent, and what do you think so far?
I think it's okay. I guess I understand some. Yeah, but it's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, we will repeat that a couple of times more, and then you will be able to understand it. Tammy June, what did you think?
It was good. I understood it.
You get it? Christina Vaughn, what do you think?
I could kind of understand it.
Oh, you kind of understand it? Okay, that's good. All right, I think it's well, I know this is not easy for the first time, trust me. But once you understand it, and you will see it's beautiful. Okay. The more you the more wisdom we have, the less suffering you have. So that important. Okay. Okay. All right, Vincent, are you there? You go ahead and read this one for me.
Oh, Vincent's not here right now.
Okay, you go ahead and do it for me.
May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruit of peace with heart of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may their minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward, may also who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise.
Okay, thank you. The reason I'm teaching you this before I teach you the forgiveness, because we need to understand how this thing works, the mind works. And later on, when we learn about forgiveness, I will teach you touch on the Buddhist psychotic with the two model. Not one model, because you usually see only one model, but the two model will become very powerful. And I will also help you to understand doing the meditation for the on the forgiveness, and this is important. When you understand this, it's easy for us to let go, right? The more you let go, the less suffering you have. That's important. Okay. Just be patient. All right, huh? No more you the I hope everyone have a good day. Mm.
Cảm ơn thầy.
Dạ,
Cảm
Di
ơn
Phật
thầy.
thầy.
Cảm ơn Đức Phật thầy, cảm ơn thầy.
Okay.
Cảm ơn thầy.
I mean, I think it's not too bad for you, right?